It's been almost a month since we hang out. I pre-recorded some things that you've been seeing on the channel. I've been having difficulty posting regularly in my regular schedule because things just happened. Hi guys from social distancing. Welcome to my channel. My name is Nyake and I'm so glad that you chose to hang out with me today. I truly appreciate it. I've been having such a hard emotional time, at least for the past 1 week, and I wasn't able to post on quite regularly, so I put some old footage that you're able to see. If you haven't watched, the link is right here, yeah. So be sure to check that out. Anyway, so today's video is one of those videos that I felt like I had to make before I ran some other footage that we usually watch here on this channel. And that's because we are in the middle or in the process of a pandemic. And if you're like me, who's a millennial, we've never been through a pandemic per se. So it's something that's fairly new to all of us, and I felt like it would be injustice if I didn't say at least something about it, like acknowledge it, that it exists, before we just sail through the rest of our content that we usually do here. So I am not an authority in any matter pandemic. I have no clue. I'm as clueless as you are. We get our information from hopefully the same sources and the right sources. I'm not an authority, as I was saying. I'm not an authority in any of these matters, but I felt like I can give you suggestions because it's a difficult time, at least emotionally, for a lot of us. We might not be affected physically or know someone who is affected physically with the virus, but it does take an emotional toll, especially because we are in a social distancing setup that is tending towards a lockdown. And so it can get lonely in the streets, you know? If you're living alone or living away from the people that you love, that can be particularly difficult for you to go through. And I have kind of felt that. Not because I live away, well, technically I do live away from the large part of my family, but I'm so lucky to be having my best friend along with me, so I'm not alone. But there are people who are not that lucky and they are going through this process alone. Now, this is even before we have some real economic challenges, or we feel the real economic effects that this whole pandemic situation is going to bring on us. So I want to say that I acknowledge the fact that the people who are having it really rough, and I cannot possibly begin to fathom how much suffering that they're going through, or that they are about to go through because of this pandemic. But I acknowledge the fact that I can't understand. If you know any organizations or people who are going to help people who, for instance, won't have food because of the economic effects of staying at home, and the people who are going to struggle through basic needs of life, please do leave them in the comments below, because we need to at least help each other stay alive at the very least. So that being said, let's talk about some of the things that you can do to stay mentally sane and try and stay above being confined in a space, or trying to confine yourself in the effort of helping to stop the spread of the virus as we know it. I thought we would start with definitions. So social distancing is a practice that is employed in trying to stop people interacting on a very large scale so that you're able to curb the spread of something that is that spreads really quickly. What? Yeah, the spread of now this virus, for instance. So that is staying home, avoiding crowds, and avoiding unnecessary interaction with people, so that you don't necessarily expose them or expose yourself to risk. So that's what's up. This means, in a very broad sense, this means that you're not going to be seeing your friends as much as you used to. You're not going to be going to church because there's many people, and you can't account for the interaction that you have, and you can't account for where people have been through church. Okay, it means maybe not even going to work, or basically working from home. And these are new circumstances that we probably haven't gone through in our lives, and it can be a little bit strange and needs a level of coping, to a level of getting used to. So last week I had a very difficult time, not because I don't usually stay. By the way, I usually stay at home. I do all my work from home, so that doesn't bother me as much. But this month I had a little bit of some plans to execute, and the fact that people needed to stay at home and we needed to be a little bit more cautious screwed up my plans. So I wasn't taking it very, very well, actually. And this sounds very privileged, by the way. I was really upset because things were just not working out, okay? And I know it's a very high horse to say, especially because people are getting sick and people are dropping dead. But I allowed myself to actually mourn that particular loss, which meant I had, I think, the pre-signs of depression. Like, I was sleeping a lot. I was barely happy. I was so frustrated. And then now, when the statistics started increasing in deaths here and deaths there, my anxiety level just shot up the roof, and it was so bad, you know. But I think I'm a little bit over it, and these are some of the things that I did to try and cope with this new normal that we're about to apply to our lives for the next God knows how long. So the first thing I want to suggest to you is working out. Endorphins are good. Endorphins will make you feel nice. Again, you can be very sedentary when you're staying at home, because literally just walk from your couch to the fridge, to the couch, look at your computer, work on something, or watch something, and then just sit. So working out, I don't know, makes your body very active, and it makes you feel good. And I'm tapping the feel good part out of this whole workout situation. And so working out, be it 15 minutes, just skipping. I like to skip personally. I started or restarted my skipping journey. Starting to work out again felt really good, and it did actually lift my mood. I feel like I've been feeling so much better, so much I guess focused, because of just getting physically active. Something else I did, now this was even before this whole COVID-19 case has been reported in Kenya, because I had just had a flu just about 3 weeks ago. I had just had a flu. Remember this video where I was complaining about Brian having a flu? Then I got it. So I had just had a flu, and I felt like my immunity was a little bit on the questionable side. So I put myself on carrot and ginger juice for about 3 days. I don't usually juice, I prefer to eat things. But because I felt like I really needed that extra boost, I put myself on carrot and ginger, and I put Brian on apple as well. And just upping your general vegetable and fruit intake, which are immunity boosting foods, really helps to take care of your health in these times. Because what you don't want is really to make yourself susceptible to the passing cloud. So if you can try and improve your immunity, that's good. It doesn't mean that you won't get COVID-19. It just means that your body will be at a better position to try and fight the virus. Corona. So learning a skill or revisiting a hobby is one of the other things that I have been doing to try and cope with being indoors and finding things to do. So, you know those times when you've scrolled everything, you've watched everything, and you're like, okay, so what's left to do? Well, this is a good thing. I started to letter. It's something that I really enjoyed doing before, but then I had kind of slacked on it. So I started to letter, and in the process, it led me to my bullet journal, which I started catching up on because I do a lot of lettering on it. In fact, we're using it. And you can do the same thing, okay, whether it was drawing that was your hobby. There's a friend of mine who's just picked up her drawing hobby right now. If you were, I don't know, learning moves for yoga, I guess. A lot of things that you were doing initially, you can start redoing them, and I guess it will be fine. It's an interesting way to distract yourself, because again, you want to distract, and your distraction should be helping you grow. So there are resources like Udemy, like Skillshare, where you can do online classes, and they can teach you a lot of stuff, whether it's in photography, Photoshop, graphic design, whatnot. Everything is there, even nutrition. So yeah, do check them out. They're really, really cool. You'll pay, of course, a very small fee. Maybe they have a waiver right now. Who knows? So the other thing you can do for people who work from home is set a fixed time to do your work. So if it's doing your emails, there'll be few, but if it's doing your emails, do your 2 hours, whether it's between 6 and 8 before everybody else wakes up and the kids and the people wake up, or after everybody sleeps, but you set time to do the work that you're supposed to do. Otherwise, you won't do any work. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but I found that setting time to particularly do a certain job, even working out, setting time and saying, okay, this evening we're going to do this, and it's going to be evenings. So you do everything and make sure you create time for that. Or mornings, especially mornings. Mornings really work. To do your work, it'll help you be more productive, I guess, during this uncertain times. Something else, read a lot. If you can, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but if you can get a fiction notebook, if you can get a fiction notebook, that would be great. It's a very mind engaging, and it detours you, and it takes you to fantasy world. It's a very good distraction. I've been regretting not having any fictional book around right now, but I still do read, and I have been reading this book that I talked about, this one and their twin book, and I'm trying to learn a skill by reading, but you can also just distract yourself by reading. It works really, really well. In fact, please drop the suggestions of some books that you have been reading during these times right here in the comments below. I'd really appreciate to get some suggestions. Something else, and this I want to talk about possibly as my last point, and as a very important point, especially for people who don't have the luxury of staying around their families or people who are close to them and care about them in this time of social distancing, and that is taking care of your mental health and specifically talking to someone, right? Making sure that you don't break that community bond, I guess, because staying alone in a time where anxiety is really high can drive you nuts. Like, it can really, really trigger you. So I would say make that call to people who you care about. Do FaceTimes if you can, but sometimes you need to talk to a professional, and you need to go through some form of therapy, especially if you have anxiety disorders or any mental disorders, or if you're particularly feeling triggered, you need to talk to someone. And there are online sources. I guess I've seen BetterHelp a lot, and there's another Kenyan one that I'm gonna put right here. I was made aware by a video from this YouTuber right here, and it's a Kenyan platform where you can access therapist services. And I want to encourage you, if you can, and you're watching this video and you're looking for someone to talk to reach out to this particular resources. You need to survive this whole pandemic and make out not only alive but mentally present, because you don't want to have to deal with a mental disorder or for the rest of your life. If you could have prevented it, if you could have reached out, if you could have been helped earlier on before it got bad. So I really want to say again, if you can, do get a therapist. They're online therapists. No, you'll still maintain social distancing. There's no form of contact, but you'll be able to talk to someone who is trained and help you out of your particular situation. Stay safe again. Do all those things that we've been told to do. Wash your hands, sanitize your house, clean your clothes and your surfaces, and also importantly, I don't know why people don't say it as much, take your 2-hour sun break if you have sun. In Kenya we have sun, so take your sun freaking break. It's good. It's going to lift your moods. You will not be vitamin D deprived, and you will kill the virus, because apparently exposure to 2 hours of sun does kill the virus. I'll link where I read it. I don't know if it's legit, but you know, just take your sun. Sun is good. That's all I have to say. And I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye. So the other thing you can do, Kimako, that is so creepy though.
The other thing you can do
is go away.
Yani nasema kitu nyingine unaweza fanya ni kuenda mbali, yani kujiondoa katika hiyo sehemu uliyokuwa.